Hello everybody, my name is Ethan. Welcome to another video where today we are going to be continuing our journey in C#. In today's video we are specifically going to be covering arrays. So we're radiating as per usual, looking exceptionally healthy today. So we will just try and get into the video right away. We are about halfway through this introduction course, so hopefully you've enjoyed it up until this point, but we'll just continue to keep going and making progress in this, don't know why I can't think of the word, but in this project and learning, I guess. I don't even know if I could fix how I look right now, to be honest. It just looks pretty criminal. So let's just get right into it. Introduction to arrays. You want to write a program that keeps track of the heights of different plants in your garden. You could do this as a series of variables, but those will become difficult to work with really fast, right? So plant 1, plant 2, plant 3. Luckily, C# provides us with a built-in solution to easily keep track of a lot of different pieces of information. Data structures are formats designed to store larger amounts of information in an organized fashion. An array is one very basic data structure. Programmers use arrays as a container to store multiple pieces of information that relate to each other in some way. Like a list of the presidents of the United States, types of cheeses in alphabetical order, and finishing positions of runners in a race. What makes an array special is that they order our data in a specific linear sequence. Since our values are kept in order, it allows us to easily find the information we're looking for. Otherwise, we'd have a huge jumbled mess of data, which means rather than having to create multiple variables and retrieve information using a variable name, we can use a single array name and retrieve it using a location in that array. You're already familiar with strings. Strings are just arrays of characters. Just like we use syntax to access part of a string, we can do that with arrays. So, in this lesson, we will learn how to build an array, how to find the length of an array, how to access array values, how to edit arrays, and how to read documentation and use built-in methods. So, let's take a peek at this nice little graphic. They always like to start us off with a nice little graphic whenever we do a new section. So let's try to find a way to make Cody plant a seed. So I would assume the first thing he does is, I assume he'll plant the seed first. Then he might water it. Then he might wait overnight. And then he might let it grow. So in the top, it's going to say Cody plants a seed, Cody waters a seed, Cody waits, and then a sprout grows. And the length of the array, in this case, is 4. So that kind of gives you an idea of how we're going to be doing this. All right, let's learn how to build an array. Building arrays. In C#, arrays are a collection of values that all share the same data type. You could have an array of type string that contains a list of your favorite songs, or an array of type int that stores a collection of user IDs. Similar to defining a variable for one piece of data, when we define a variable to hold an array, we also have to specify the type. So we go here, and these arrays store ints, strings, and doubles respectively. So it looks like we have an interesting syntax. First we put the data type, int, then we do solid brackets, and we specify the name of the array. In this case we're saying it's x, and we use that semicolon, of course. Then we have another one that's a string, with again those 2 brackets and an S. Then we have a double type, and then the 2 brackets, and then the letter D. To declare a variable that holds an array, we first write the type of data that will be stored in an array. Then add the square brackets to signify that it is holding an array rather than just a single value, followed by the name of the array. Like a variable, we can define and initialize an array at the same time by specifying the values we want to store in it. So it looks like the syntax for actually putting values in an array is going to be this curly braces or curly brackets, and then the values within that. To declare and initialize an array at the same time, after the array declaration, we use an equal sign to denote that we're storing a value to the array. Then write out the numbers we're putting in the array separated by commas and enclosed in curly braces. You may also see arrays defined and initialized using a new keyword. So in this case, we have int plant height is equal to new int curly braces. The new keyword signifies that we are instating instantiating. This is a good word to look up, guys. Let's hear it.
Instantiate.
Instantiating a new array from the array class. We'll cover classes and in another lesson, but for now you can just think of it as another way to create an array. In fact, if you decide to define an array and then initialize it later, rather than like the one above, you must use the new keyword. So if we just initially declare it, we'll have to use the new one to tell us that it is a new version, right? Okay, let's check out the instructions here and see what we can do. You want to build a web app where users can create their own playlists. The trick is they can only create playlists that have 8 songs in them. You realize you can use arrays to store information about each playlist as an array. First, declare a string array called summer_strut. This will be the playlist that we add our songs to. So within main, we are going to declare a new array, which will be a string array, I assume. We're going to remember that we have to have our square brackets and then summer_strut or summer_strut, whatever you'd like. And we're not going to access it quite yet, but this will declare it. Perfect. We've declared the new array. On a new line, initialize your array with 8 song titles as values. If you can't think of any, here are some suggestions. Okay, so now we are going to access some of the values in our array. We'll do new string summer_strut equals, and then we'll start our curly braces. And we'll just, for the time being, I am just going to type out the ones that are here. If I feel like it, maybe I'll do different ones. Make me feel rebel DMX monkey anthem Los Angeles. Okay, we've completed that, and it actually looks like there's a bunch of errors. Let's see what we did wrong. I believe we did the first one correct, which was just that. In this case, though, we kind of messed up the syntax just a little bit here, which is fine. And it's always good to kind of be able to realize what we're doing here. We're just going to instead move this like that and repeat like that. So hopefully that works now. A little bit of a mistake there, but now it still says we are wrong, the name. And now we should be good. Alright, perfect. Now declare and initialize an array named ratings that contains your rating for each song between 1 and 5. So we're going to do this in the same one where we do a new array called ratings. It's going to be an int array because it's just going to be a number 1 through 5. Ratings is equal to, and then we're going to automatically put this in here. So I'm going to give obviously 1s across the board, 6, and then of course 5 and then 1, right? And of course, would it be a DMX monkey coding video if we didn't forget a semicolon at the start of the video? I don't think it would be considered a good video if we didn't do that. So it looks good. We're looking pretty solid here. Let's go over to next and see what is next. So array length. We often want to know how many items an array contains. We can do this with the .length property. So if we take an int, a new array, where it has 3, and we use the int array length and save that equal to plant.heights.length, we'll return the number of items in an array and 0 if the array is empty. Each playlist can only have 8 songs, so we want to write a program that checks to make sure that they're the right amount of songs. If there are 8 songs in the playlist, have the console print out the message that the user know the playlist is complete, like Summer Start playlist is ready to go. So first we're going to create a new variable called Summer Strut length, and we'll set that equal to Summer Strut dot length. Then we want to see if there are 8 songs in the playlist. So we'll do this by doing an if statement. So if Summer Strut length is equal to 8, then we'll open up this code block. We're going to print console.writeLine to the console. We are going to write Summer Strut playlist is ready to go. Hopefully I created that if statement correctly, and it looks like I did because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs. So since the length is 8, it's going to print that out. If the user tries to add more than 8 songs, write a message that their playlist will be rejected for being too long, too many songs. We can write else if Summer Strut length is greater than 8. We'll open this up and say a console.writeLine too many songs. And we want to check it works by adding another song to the array. So let's just, in this case, add again DMX Monkey Anthem. If we do that, it should write too many songs. Yep. It's given us a red X because we're on step 3. We're now going to write another else statement, and in this case we don't really have to write anything else in that else statement because it's either going to be equal to 8, greater than 8, or of course less than 8. And if it's less than 8, we'll do a console.writeLine saying add some songs. And now we're going to delete songs from the playlist. So we'll check this again. Again, it still says too many songs because we've got 9 songs in the list. If we take out Despacito and Los Angeles, we should be able to see that it'll say add some songs instead. Okay, perfect. I am going to quickly reset the page really quick because it was kind of giving me a little bit of lag there for a second. Okay, we can move on now and talk about accessing array items. So arrays are useful for storing values, but they're not very useful if they simply stay there. We also need a way to access them. Arrays order items so that they're in a specific sequence, which makes it helpful for accessing each item. Each value has a specific position in the array, which is known as its index. You can think of an index like an address. It's what we use to locate an item in an array. In C#, arrays start at the index 0 and then add 1 for each value. So in this case, we have the first, array of cities. The first one is New York. The second one is Beijing. And the third one is Nairobi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But in this coding language, everything is 0 indexed, so we start at 0. So in the 0 spot would be New York, in the 1 spot would be Beijing, and then in the 2 spot would be Nairobi. So when we want to access it, we can just throw brackets around cities and put the index within there, and we'll get the value of New York. To access a value from a list, we write out the name of the array, followed by brackets, and within the brackets, the index number of the value that we want. So in this case, we have a plant 2 height, plant heights 1, right? All right, let's check out the instructions. Print out the statement that includes the name of the second song in the playlist and the rating that you gave it. The message should read like something like, you rated the song Missing You 4 stars. Okay. So we want to do I'm going to do a new message, and I will save that as, I'm going to do a little bit of string interpolation. Hopefully this works nicely. You rated the song, and we want the second song on the playlist, so we'll do Summer Strut at value 1. You rated the song Summer Strut 1. And then we'll do ratings 1. Oh, I actually want to do that. And then it wants us to print that out, so I'll do a console.writeLine, and then I'll stick our message within there. And again, we are going to remember our semicolons today. We are going to try our best to, at least, and hopefully that works. You rated the song Missing You 4 stars. Okay, cool. It ended up working quite nicely there. Editing arrays. Once we create an array, the size of that array is fixed. However, it's possible to change the value it contains. For example, we can initialize the array that has a length of 3 without specifying what those values are. Then later go back and edit the array to include a new value. This is useful if we know how many things we're expecting, but we don't know their specific values yet. So we can reset the values. Right, in this case, we have 0, 0, 0. Now it will be 0, 0, 8. When we create an array with a known length but no known values, the array stores a default type value, 0 for int, null for string. When we edit the array and swap out the defaults with a new specific value, in this case we're saying that index 2, we want to swap the default value 0 for 8. We can also edit the values of pre-existing arrays. Again, we can't add to the length of an existing array, but we can swap out values. In this case, we've already identified, we already have an array with a defined set of values. But what if a plant grows? We'll need to go back and change its value. So if a second plant, we access its value using bracket notation and change the value to 5. All right, you've decided that you want to add Cardi B's I Like It to your playlist, but whoops, only 8 tracks are allowed. Swap the last song in our playlist for I Like It, or swap the last song with another song of your choosing. So, not a big fan of I Like It and Cardi B. So instead we're going to do just a really great song. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but we will try and do this. So in this case we are going to swap out Summer Strut position 7, or the last one, and we're going to set that equal to the new string, of course, DMX Monkey Anthem. If you guys have heard of it, it's pretty good. Let's see how that works. Looks like that works nice. Since you swapped out the song, we also have to update the rating, change the rating to reflect the thing. So again, now we're going to instead change the ratings at position 7, and of course, got to set that equal to a 5. It is just a precious gem of a song. So perfect. Yep, we just swapped out a couple of the values. If we were to print out ratings, we would end up seeing a 5 here, and if we printed out Summer Strut, we'd see DMX Monkey Anthem there. Okay, built-in methods. In C#, there are several built-in methods we can use with arrays. The full list can be found in the Microsoft documentation of the array class under methods. Sort. The built-in method array.sort, as its name suggests, sorts an array. This method is a quick way to further organize data into a logical sequence. Sort takes an array as a parameter and edits the array so that its values are sorted. If it is an array of integer values, it will sort them in ascending order, lowest to highest. If it's an array of strings, it will be sorted alphabetically. Index of. The array method index of takes a value and returns its index. Index of works best when you have a specific value and need to know where it's located in the array or if it even exists. So in this case, we have an array called plant heights. We want to know in plant heights where 6 exists, and when we run this piece of code, it will return the value 1 because 6 exists first at the 1 index location. Index of typically takes 2 parameters. The first is an array, and the second is a value of what index we're locating. Index also has several overloads that allows you to search for specific range of the array. If the value appears more than once in the array, it returns only the first occurrence within a specified range. If it cannot find the value, it returns the lower bound of the array -1. Since most arrays start at 0, it's usually -1. Okay, find. Excuse me. The array method array.find searches a one-dimensional array for a specific value or set of values that match certain condition and returns the first occurrence in the array. Find takes 2 parameters. The first is an array and the second one is a predicate that defines what we're looking for. A predicate is a method that takes one input and outputs a boolean. Unlike index of and find returns the actual values that match the condition instead of their index. It's customary to use lambda function for the predicate to determine the value meets the necessary criteria. If you need a refresher on lambda functions, check out my previous video. We did that in our methods lesson. All right, let's check this out. We can kind of also see that it wants us to use height. Height is greater than 5. All right. Using an array method, find the position for the first 3-star song and save it to the variable. Print out a message to the console. Song number X is rated 3 stars. So we are going to locate where the first 3 rated song is. We want to print out the index, right? So we'll use this index of function. If we do summer strut dot index of, and in that index of, we'll actually do array dot index of, and then we'll enter in our array, which is summer strut, and in the second one we want to find the first instance of a 3, and we're going to save this to a variable int first 3, and in the lessons it wants us to then print to the console where it's located. So we'll do again a nice little bit of string interpolation here. This is song number first 3 is rated 3 stars. Call array.indexOf to find the first 3 in ratings. And instead of doing summer strut, I did, instead of ratings, I did summer strut, but we want to do ratings there, so a little bit of a mistake. If we just do a +1, I wonder what happens here. Okay, there we go. So I did want to say song number 0, right? So we're going to just add 1 to that first 3 to add back the index that we lose when we do 0 indexing. And that works now. So song number 4 is rated 3 stars. Find the first song that has more than 10 characters in its title. Save it to the variable and print the message to the console, such as the first song that has more than 10 characters in the title is X. So we'll go down here, we'll do a string, and we want to find. We're going to use find because we are going to have a lambda expression off to the right hand side here. So we are going to have string more than 10 chars, and we're going to set that equal to array.find, and we're going to go through the summer strut array, and we want to have a bit of a lambda expression now. In this case, we want the length to be greater than 5. So I would assume you do something where you would do, first we can put length. I actually want to see what it would look like in the hint here. Yeah, okay, so it's just name. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be with this. So we got to remember our squid there. And then we'll do name.length is greater than 10. So I knew we had to throw the dot length in there somewhere. And again, if you remember from the previous video, we don't actually need those parentheses around name because it is just one variable. If we had multiple, then we'd have to put some parentheses around them. But since it's just one, we can kind of do a little shortcut there. Then we are going to do a console.writeLine. Where in this message we're going to again do some string interpolation, and we'll say the first song that has more than 10 characters in the title is, and I spelled a couple of words wrong here, it looks like maybe is, and then we'll enter in more than 10 chars. And we'll end it off with a semicolon there, and I'm hoping that works, and it does. The first song that has 10 or more characters is Raspberry Beret. Okay, cool. Last one, organize the playlist alphabetically. To check that it worked, print the first and last title songs to the console. So we're going to do a sort function. If you remember this one up here, we're going to do array.sort. We want to sort it alphabetically. So all we'll have to do is create a new, I'm actually wondering, do we create a new, okay, so now it just makes it so plan heights. Okay, so if down here we do array.sort, and we'll enter in the value of summer strut. Now we can do console.writeLine. In the first one, we will write out summer strut with the index of 0. And in the second one, we'll do a second console.writeLine with summer strut, and we'll have the 7th index. And when we print that out, hopefully we'll see that, yep, that looks like it would make sense. Despacito would be the first alphabetical order, and Rebel Rebel would be the last. So, looks like we did that correctly. And so we kind of figure out what sort does, index of, and find. Perfect. Okay, documentation hunt. In addition to sort, index of, and find, there are several other built-in methods. You can find them in the Microsoft documentation. Let's put your documentation sleuthing to use and hunt down some built-in methods to write code. Alright, so we are going to actually have to open up the Microsoft documentation array class, which is right here. We can look and see that there is just a ton of different things that we can do. I don't want to go to YouTube. If we go back, we want to find the method that allows you to copy your playlist to a new playlist called summer strut copy. Print the first value of summer strut copy to the playlist to see if it has the same value as summer strut. So there should be a copy value, and it looks like I've found it. There is a copy to with an int 32 and an int 64. If we want to just do copy, it looks like we have a bunch of different options here. There are so many different copies. I'm going to assume it's one of them. Copy a range of elements from an array starting at the first element and paste them into another array starting at the first element. The length is specified as a 32-bit integer. So I'm going to assume it's just the copy function. So I assume we'll do array dot copy. I am going to just quickly restart the page here, and hopefully that will make it so we're not as laggy. And then we're going to do the first one that we're coming to, strut. If we go back to the documentation here, we can see that from one element starting at an array starting in the and we'll do a second one where we specify summer strut copy. Then if we do a couple of console.write lines to print out the first value of summer strut, and the first value of summer strut copy, we're going to hope and pray that that's how it worked. Yep, so summer strut copy does not exist, which makes sense. Let's try and do this and see if that works. Okay, so let's check the hint and see what happens. I see. So we needed to define the value of the copy first. So we actually had it right the first time like that, but we actually also want to initialize that there is going to be a new one called summer strut copy, and we'll just do that for right now. So again, no overload method for copy, it takes 2 arguments. Okay, let's try and do it with the new keyword, and there should be 8 array.copy copies a range of elements from one array to a second array. It takes 3 parameters, the name of the array, and it takes 3 parameters. All right, that ended up working. So a little bit of a trial and error there, but we figured it out. So when we want to use that copy method, we first create a new instance of the copied array. Then we'll actually use the array.copy function, making sure that we pass all 3 parameters. The first one, the one that we want to copy, the name of the one that it's getting copied to, and then the length of the copy. And then we printed it out, and they do have the exact same value, so we should be good there. All right, in the Microsoft documentation, find the method that reverses the order of an array of elements. Use it to reverse the order of the summer strut playlist. Check to see if it worked by printing the first and last order. So it asks us to find something that reverses the order. I'm going to assume it's going to be this reverse function, reverses the sequence of the elements in the entire one-dimensional array. So that's what I'm going to assume it is. So we're going to do that with the summer strut playlist, and we'll do array.reverse, and in the reverse we'll put the summer strut array. And now if we print out the first 2 the first and the last index, we should now see that they are opposite of what we have put up there, but it's I pointed to it in real life, but this right here. Summer strut, and we'll put the 7th one because we know it's 8 digits long. And boom. In this case, yep, it put juice as the last one, and Los Angeles is the first one. Finally, find the method that turns every rating in the ratings array to 0. Check to see if it worked by printing out the first value of the console. So sets a value to the element at a specified position. Not exactly what we want. We want something that completely makes it all zeros. I'm going to assume it's going to not be copy, clone, no. If I had to just put one out there right now, I would assume it would be set value. But when I read it, it says sets a value to the element at the specified position, which we want it to be the entire length of the array. Let's see, dimensional array, member-wise clone. Let's check back here and see what they want us to use. Array.clear. So let's go back up, see what array.clear does. So clear clears the contents of an array. Pretty self-explanatory here. It wants us to turn every rating in the ratings array to 0. So I assume if we just do array.clear and throw in the ratings, it will change all of them to 0, and we want to print out there no argument given that corresponds to the formal index of array.clear int. So in this case, we want to return in that 0 and then the length. I see. So players dot, or not players, ratings dot length, and then we can do a console dot write line ratings 0. Okay, perfect. Finished that one up. So we learned 3 new ones in this kind of documentation hunt. We learned the copy, we learned the reverse, and we learned clear. All right, let's do a little review and we'll finish up this video. So congratulations, we covered a lot in this lesson. We learned about data structures and how we can use them to better organize our data, how to build, access, and edit values of arrays, how to use arrays built-in methods including sort, index of, and find. If you get stuck and would like to learn more, check out the official Microsoft site. And we'll kind of preview what's going to be coming up next in our next video. So in the next video, we are going to be learning about loops. So loops are very important. But again, I'll save that for the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.